And then we are back. Alien, thank you for being here. I just for those of you who don't know, Alien's a bit under the weather, so we're going to try to keep this brief. And if he has to disappear for a moment, we're going to be understanding of that as this is a live broadcast. How are you, Alien? Outside of sick.
Always a pleasure talking to you, buddy. How's it going with
Hey,
you? I'm
hey,
good.
no
I'm
complaints.
good, all things considered.
Yeah,
How are you?
hey, no complaints, no complaints. Let's talk about the crypto market really quickly. I mean, it's been a really weird week. We got some
Yeah.
news today. Looks like ETH is coming back. What's your assessment of that?
Well, actually, I wanted to chit chat with you a little bit about the current state of the market because that's like the apropos subject. So,
Sure.
yeah, man, I'm very comfortable in admitting that I have no idea where we're going. So, like, I see lots of predictions. Um, is Bitcoin going to 15K? Is 20K the bottom? Are we gonna have like, for example, for ETH, a bounce up to like 1500, then a dump to 700? I have no idea. I'm just watching the show and holding on tight to my holdings. Unfortunately for myself, I was very euphoric during the bull run. I did have like my main currency, I would say very ETH heavy in terms
Hmm.
of portfolio, but I'm just riding it with no worries because if I hold an asset that I know, let's say for example Ethereum, I know that in 5 years it's gonna be 10K or more. Do I really care if tomorrow or the day after tomorrow it's gonna be at 700 or 500? While knowing how the kind of the macro picture of the market works. So I'm just sort of enjoying the show and hope everybody is safe in this shaky market. And yeah, we'll see what happens and we'll go from there. What do you think?
Well, I don't want to go away from the point that you just made. I think is extremely critical. What you just said is that if you're prepared to hodl, that all of this is mostly irrelevant. It is, in a basketball analogy, it's the second and third quarter. Like, it doesn't determine the outcome. You already know what the outcome is going to be. According to you, Alien, you're saying these things will moon. ETH is not going away. Right now, we're just watching kind of the action, but it's not going to change what you believe is the truth about, especially some of these blue chips, which is they're going to be just fine. Is that right?
Absolutely. And that's again, just as a disclaimer, this is a personal opinion. This is by no way, by no means financial advice. But yeah, obviously, I'm a long term crypto bull in general. So I see it as though we're in a 10, maybe 20-year-old bull run, macro bull run in the market with
Mm-hmm.
short pauses. So might as well enjoy the show.
I see. Yeah, well, I tend to agree with you. I think the challenge is maybe twofold. It matters when you got in, right? So if you if you are new to crypto in the last 6 months, then your experience is much different than if you've been in for the last 18,
Right. Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And if you
Let
had
alone
goals,
earlier.
yeah, or earlier, right? And it also depends on what your goals are. If you're looking for quick turnaround, if you're trying to kind of load up on some fiat, you showed up at a bad time.
Yeah, yeah, I fully agree. And unfortunately, a lot of people, unfortunately, might have to learn how this market works the hard way, especially people who, like, for example, got into crypto at the peak of the bull run and now they're seeing everything down and they're kind of capitulating and losing hope. They will learn how this thing works. On the flip side, even those who are down, pretty much like some of us are up, some of us are down, but regardless, Adoption lately has been off the charts. So in the past 18 months, I very much it was very smart of you to specify 18 months, because in the last 18 months we've seen a lot of newcomers in crypto. But those who
Exactly.
stuck by, whether in profit or loss, on the flip side, on the like the glass half full side of things, they will come out of this bear market as some sort of battle hardened veterans. So you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they won't, right? In other words,
Yeah.
they'll be wrecked and they'll go away because they aped at the wrong time, not knowing that they showed up to a declining market and they weren't prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But as they see how, like, as they see everything, if all goes, because I think the kind of common sense that is that every ATH will be broken, especially when it comes to the big players, BTC, ETH. The ATH will be broken. So once they realize that they got in at the wrong time and capitulated at the wrong time too, it would be a great learning experience. And one interesting article that I read is that even in the peak of this market bloodbath, crypto adoption is still going off the charts.
absolutely. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. Um, which leads me to ask you another question. I was doing a show just yesterday with Peyote, and I asked him this question, so I'm going to put it to you. Why do you think it is that every few years or so, the media, the public, declares the death of crypto?
Okay, there's an epic website called like the death of Bitcoin, something like that. They aggregate articles, basically declaring the death of crypto, and from 2011 until now, there's been like 1,500, 2,000, 10,000. I'll have to check the website, but like a gigantic amount of articles that declared the death of crypto. And some people, so there's like maybe a little bit of conspiracy theories, is that during the bear runs, the kind of government and the institutional fund would come at the peak so that they would snatch the bottom of sorts and sort of like purify the market from retail investors, so to speak.
Mm,
So it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. And it's like always like clockwork. So they declare crypto dead at the peak of the bull run, sorry, at the peak of the bear market. And then it comes back stronger every single time. It's like clockwork. And if you like zoom out on every single major chart, Bitcoin, ETH, namely, you see that there is a trend at work. The trend is upwards, and it's like clockwork. And possibly the cycles are getting shorter.
well, on that note, perfect segue. I get a lot of messaging about Cliff being dead. And I want, while you're here, to reassure the listeners that Cliff, while is certainly undergoing some rebranding, restructuring, remodeling, some spring cleaning, maybe temporarily closed for inventory, is absolutely not dead. Correct?
It's not, and it's like evident in the chart. So even in this, in the peak of this bear market, there is accumulation that is being done slowly but surely. And at some point,
Absolutely.
whoever wants to be out is out, and the chart would build up, snowball again. Uh, we were like, when we released the product, it was and still is a first mover in terms of tokenomics. So what we did was unprecedented in terms of like the creativity that came into the tokenomics, kind of like weaponizing the liquidity to buy supply pump the price, uh, and it was in December, around the time of the bull market all-time high. So it was like a perfect storm that happened, right? Uh, the meme was strong. Tokenomics were and still strong as ever, but the meme coin market is a little bit brutal both ways. So there are ungodly gains to be made, but when the hype sort of slows down, and eventually it does slow down in all meme coins, like even the blue chip, Doge, Sheep, it goes through brutal ups and then brutal downs, but it's all like who does carry it, who does carry the token when it's down? It's the core community and core supporters. And even right now we have people accumulating. So a few hours ago we've had the 2.49 ETH buy on Cliff, and
Yeah.
with every single buy and sell, our liquidity pool gets bigger, gets stronger, in order to support further buys and burns. So, and add to that that of course the swap will be coming, a swap that has a lot of advantages for developers, so they may release their tokens into the Cliff swap, and we're using Cliff swap just as a placeholder name. um so yeah, Cliff swap will be a DeFi product of its own, and part of its revenue will go directly into buying and burning Cliff, thereby increasing the price. And just not make it all about hype and meme. Have something solid to rely on to ensure the project's sustainability. So I think the swap was the best move given the current circumstances. And yeah, even as we speak, there is still accumulation being made on Cliff.
So let's finally put this. Uh, I'm going to call it FUD. Let's put this FUD to bed that Cliff is absolutely still alive and well. There are some changes in the works right now, and some of the functions, such as the buybacks and burns, have in fact slowed. But we are targeting September for a release of a swap, a nice
Mm-hmm.
secure swap that will provide specific perks to developers. That's the reason why they will want to use the swap, and a portion of the revenues from the swap will be used for the furtherance of buybacks and burns for Cliff. So stay tuned for the fourth quarter. Cliff is primed to have yet another fourth quarter, epic fourth quarter for the second consecutive year.
Yep, yep, absolutely. And in terms of processes, so in the bull run, we rode like in the bull run, we were actually the top performing cryptocurrency for 1 or 2 weeks straight, which is crazy. Like best in the world,
Right.
top
Right.
gainer in the entire space, which is whoa. I mean,
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
like the world heavyweight champion in crypto. And then because it's deeply rooted into meme coin culture, it had its downtrend eventually. But then in terms of processes, what do you do in the bear? You build solid foundations, and that's exactly what we're doing. And I would like to shout out Budash because although I speak as we, uh, I mainly communicate what's happening, but the one doing the heavy lifting is my partner, the co-founder of Cliff, Budash, complete complete warrior and soldier. And like, I mean, you've spoken to Peyote, you know how highly he thinks of Boo.
Yes.
I
Yes.
speak very like Boo is the shit. So yeah, and
Yeah.
we do have the support of a great ecosystem, really like supporting, filling gaps, really full incubation of the project. So yeah, let's see what happens in September. Things will probably be very interesting by then.
And so, as of now, just to clear up some public concern, there's no change as of now in the timeline for the swap. Everything is on pace as of today.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep. Where do we stand with the uh, logo?
Yeah, the logo, it's part of, so the rebranding will also include the logo. So there will be a whole different presentation,
Okay.
stepping a little bit away from the earlier meme. And yeah, just a matter of rebranding.
So it will neither be the dog nor the character that's kind of in place now, the metaverse character.
Yes, yes, I can confirm that. It will not be that.
Okay. Awesome. What else do we have here? Questions. What is the plan in the interim for buybacks and burns?
So, for example, last week we've had a 17K buy and burn, which
Yep.
amounted to 0.45% of the supply, if I'm not mistaken. And the more trading that goes on, even if it's cramming, even if it's consolidating at the same range, so even if there's like, it does seem like nothing much is happening with the chart, but with each buy and each sell, our liquidity pool gets stronger, which will enable us to do more buys and burns. The baseline, like the minimum, as to what is considered a healthy liquidity to market cap ratio, in my personal opinion, because there's always different opinions, there's no right or wrong, just different perspective. For me, the golden ratio is 10%. Anything below that is too thin on the side of liquidity. Right now, we have a market cap of 1.42 million, backed by a liquidity of 183k in liquidity. So kind of, although it is a little bit on the thin side right now, but we have like kind of 40k to play with if we want to, which would amount right now to something like a little bit less than a 40 ETH buy we can do. And also part like what's the long term, and here it's like a throwback to the earlier days where I went on and on about the tokenomics, but it's such a bullish aspect. So the market cap in hands of the holders is 1.42 million, but the actual market cap is 2.1 million. That is held by the contract. That was the amounts that were bought and burned and can never be dumped on the market. And as such, basically whatever we have been speaking about since day one, it's still into effect, and it still plays out perfectly in the long term. So as long as there's trading activity, whether be it accumulation or sales, our liquidity pool gets stronger, allowing us to buy more of the supply and burn it, therefore locking more tokens that can never be dumped on the market. And if you couple that with the functionality, a very strong functionality that is coming with the swap, again, things in September are probably going to get super interesting. Test, test.
Can you? Uh-oh.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Good, good, good. I'm not sure if I'm showing up though. You can hear me, but I don't see. I'm going to proceed as if others can hear me. I hope they can. Now, uh the thing that I think that people should be very positive about as it pertains to what you just said regarding Cliff is that your opinion on Cliff is consistent with your opinion on the market as a whole. That is, as long as the project is still intact, it will ultimately reach its goal. Uh, Clearly, there's no plan to abandon working on the project. You guys are committed to the work of the project. You show up and do that work. So as long as the project is still here, still alive, developing a utility, ultimately we can expect it will still reach all the goals that we've had for the project for the past 7 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so it doesn't get much more bullish than that, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it directly from Alien. The work's in progress. There's no kind of pullback. There's no adjustments to the dates. The rebrand will be taking place in sometime in advance of the launch for the swap, and buybacks and burns will continue to happen as it is responsible to do so based on the liquidity and other market conditions, even while we wait on some of the major changes, that is the swap, to take place. Is there anything else that you want to share, Alien?
I mean, just general notice that everybody stay safe in this market. Don't panic. We're all gonna make it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you get better in terms of your health, your immediate health, maybe we can get you back on, not just to discuss Cliff, but to talk more generally about the market from an economist's standpoint.
Yeah, and there's like also like regarding that, like there is no kind of just because I have a certain background in economics, like I studied economics, I did a master's in finance, but like the I think like formal education in a way means bollocks all. So it doesn't mean that I have uh, better insights than anyone about it. Just everything that I say is a personal opinion that may or may not be accurate. And like I said earlier, it's just a matter of perspective. There is no right and wrong, especially when it comes to finance, investing, bag holding, supporting projects. There is many strategies to make it so. But yeah, looking forward to the like future chit chats, and yeah, always a pleasure talking to you, buddy.
Thank you, Alien. I appreciate your time, and we will talk to you next week. Have the best day.
Likewise, take care.